Evening world, it's about 8:30 p.m. UK time. It is Thursday the 17th of December 2020. I'm a bit all over the place, excuse me for this. Right, so Saturn moved into Aquarius this morning. And the moon moved into Aquarius this morning. And Jupiter is now in the final half of a degree, the final third of a degree of the last degree of Capricorn. And Jupiter will be moving into Aquarius in about, 40 hours from now. So we're leaving all this Capricorn energy behind. In fact, particularly in this last couple of days with the moon sweeping up as it passed over Jupiter and over Saturn and over Pluto. And thank you to the few people who sent me some actual real-time photos of it, who were in a position to see it in the sky and sent me some photos. Thank you for that. Not a lot's changed in the world, except that existing situations seem to be getting worse. Yes, the President of France has got COVID. Yes, there seems to be ever more political instability in Turkey and Israel and various countries of the Middle East. Yes, Australia and China are scrapping. Yes, the Indian farmers are India is heading into a major constitutional crisis, and it seems like the government there is heading into an ever narrowing. It's like being on the inside of a pencil sharpener. In America, there's the great white whale sulking. In Britain, we've got an absolutely incompetent Prime Minister who's just shirking responsibility. So nothing's changed. The world's still in a bit of a crazy mess. But in the next few days, there's going to be some very interesting developments. Yes, we've got Jupiter moving into Aquarius. Jupiter actually moves into Aquarius when? Let's have a look. Jupiter moves into Aquarius at 8 minutes past 1 in the afternoon on Saturday. That's UK time. 13:08 GMT on Saturday. Perhaps more significantly, yes, we've actually let's follow that track through. Saturday afternoon, Jupiter moves into Aquarius and will join with Saturn. By that time, the moon will have moved in already on into Pisces just. But on the 21st, we've got the solstice at 3 minutes past 10 in the morning, GMT, UK time. And that's when the sun will be overhead over the Tropic of Cancer, I think. I always get my tropics mixed up. And in the Northern Hemisphere, it's the time of the shortest daylight and the longest night. And in the Southern Hemisphere, the reverse. Solstice, sun still. But also on the 21st, Jupiter and Saturn are conjunct each other, and whereas solstice is at 3 minutes past 10 in the morning, Jupiter and Saturn are conjunct at 22 minutes past 6 in the evening on the 21st. That's Monday. Now, there's a bit of confusion over something I've said earlier. Jupiter and Saturn conjunct each other every 20 years. Almost precisely. But there's a kind of cycle here with Jupiter-Saturn conjunctions. They stay in one element, fire, earth, air or water, for a long period of time, like hundreds, if not thousands of years. And then slowly they shift from one element to another. And this is what's happening now. The Jupiter-Saturn conjunction is changing elements from air to earth or vice versa. I'm never quite sure on these things. It's over such a long period of time. And it doesn't actually mean anything except in long-term, large-scale historical contexts. But for the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction to be occurring on the solstice is pretty significant. But even here in the background, there's still something else going on that I need to bring to your attention. Mars in the sky has been slowly moving forward in Aries since it stopped going retrograde around the 11th of November, 15th of November, something like that. And now Mars has been inching forward. It stopped going retrograde on the 14th, according to my tables, yes. So since that time, in the last 4 to 5 weeks, Mars has been slowly inching forward, and now he's beginning to pick up speed. And as I speak, Mars is at 21 degrees of Aries. He will be squaring Pluto shortly. Mars will square Pluto precisely in 6 days' time, on the 23rd. And then Mars is heading towards early Taurus, and Mars will move into Taurus and leave Aries after 6.5 months of being there in the early part of January. And I'm already picking up intimations that January is going to be well, I'm not going to be crude, but let's just say a hurricane of fecal matter. Translate that as you will, because we're going to have Mars conjunct Jupiter at about 8-9 degrees, squaring Uranus, and then Saturn's going to be squaring Uranus, and it's all going to get a little bit messy during January and early mid-February. And of course there's that crazy new moon in early January conjunct Pluto, a few days before the inauguration, and the inauguration itself on the 20th of January, I think it is. Please correct me, my American colleagues, if I'm wrong on that. It's pretty damn significant. So it seems like the astrological indicators are rolling in thick and fast at the moment. And this is kind of summarising everything that's happened over 2020. And it's summarising it, summing it up, and pointing us in a totally different direction. Now, I'm on fairly safe ground by pointing out that in 2020 we've had Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn, which is a cardinal sign. Cardinal signs are doers. We've had Mars in the last 6 months in Aries, also a cardinal sign, very proactive. We've had a lot of these planets being retrograde while they're in these cardinal signs, so it's been a lot of stunted attempts at moving forward and growth, especially internal. So a lot of internal work has been done because we haven't been able to manifest it in the outside world. I refer back to what I've already said about a lot of people doing a lot of shadow work on themselves. But now Mars is coming up to square Pluto for the final time. It will square Saturn for the final time as it gets into, second week of January. It will square Jupiter at the end of January, just as it's conjuncting Uranus. So it's all looking a little bit hectic in this next few days, but the emphasis is that everything is switching from cardinal signs into fixed signs. Cardinal is proactive, it's doing, it's initiatory, it makes things happen. The fixed signs, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, with Mars moving into Taurus and Jupiter and Saturn moving into Aquarius, this brings the emphasis into areas around determination, resilience, perseverance. On the positive side, strength, solidity, stability, consistency, regularity. On the challenging side, stubbornness, recalcitrance, and just a dogmatic unwillingness to make changes. The single biggest thing that's happening in 2021 is the long-term square from Saturn to Uranus. And here again, I refer back to something I've already talked about against the unstoppable force against the immovable object. I'm going to have to do something special on this Saturn-Uranus one. But here we are. 4 days before solstice, 3 days before solstice, Saturn changed sign this morning. Jupiter changes sign in another couple of days. I've been waiting for this moment all of this year. And it's almost as if the powers that be have faded into the background. They've abdicated responsibility. They seem incapable of any type of leadership that speaks of authenticity or dignity or morality even. They seem just content to sort of spout off regardless. And it seems as if nobody's paying any more attention to them anymore. So in the absence of any type of authentic and real leadership, we have to do it for ourselves. And we have to make decisions for ourselves based on common sense, which is nowhere near as common as we like to think it is, and our own versions of, dignity and authenticity. We have to be the people we want to be and live within our own boundaries rather than those supposedly pushed on us by others. Because 2021 is going to be more and more, I can see it coming already, more and more of a kind of conflict, not in terms of aggression or warfare or anything like that, but a conflict between the state trying to impose, whether it is the European Union, whether it is the British government, the American government, the Indian government, the Chinese government, authorities trying to impose some type of ever more restrictive. It's almost as if they're strangling through regulation the capacity for innovation and novelty and independence and originality. And I hope that Saturn and Jupiter together in Aquarius is going to bring a lot of an upsurge into that energy that's going to make us stand up for ourselves a lot more. Not in any way that's confrontational or aggressive, but in a way that is projective and assertive. And hopefully a bit kinder towards each other as well. Where communities are going to start reaching out for each other. I'm looking on the news today at the real poverty that's going on in the north of England. I feel really bad about it because I'm okay, and yet just 200 miles from me, people are really, really hungry and they can't afford to buy even the cheapest of foods. And there's such a sense of inequality and disparity here. And this is something that's going to have to be addressed in 2020 and not just 2021, not just in our own individual countries, but globally as well. It's interesting that the billionaires have done very, very well out of COVID. Okay, I'm ranting and I'm rambling, so I'm going to stop now. But tomorrow I want to look at Jupiter moving into Aquarius properly. I think it's time to leave that Capricorn energy behind now. I know we're still in that a little bit. But by Monday it's gone. There'll just be Pluto and he's kind of okay with Capricorn. Until that time, keep on keeping on, folks. Catch you tomorrow. Bye.